Today I will be teaching y'all to put duallies on your 1995 Montgomery Ward's garden tractor. It's got the taller 20 or 23-inch rims, so this will be interesting. First thing you're going to want to do is flip these outer or inner duals reverse and mount them like that. Then find yourself some cheap wheel weights that probably came with the tractor if you got the same one that I did. There is a difference between this tractor and an original tractor though. It's got a 1980s Ford hood on it and a custom blade on it, so I needed the traction from the duals. But anyway, back to the video. I got the other set of wheels right here. I'm going to have to put slime in it, so I'm going to be starting with one side, and when I get done with one side, I'll do the other side off video. But another thing you're going to want to get, you're going to want to get 8 carriage bolts. And don't mind these junk ones right here. I'm just keeping those because those originally came off the tractor. But you're going to want to get 8 carriage bolts, a bunch of nuts to go onto them, and a bunch of washers and lock nuts, or lock washers. Maybe lock nuts if you can afford them. Anyway, I got all my stuff there. For tools, normally, if you can't get those wheel weights off, you're going to want to get a pry bar and pry in between the rim and the wheel weight to get it off. If you don't want to cut the carriage bolts down because it's a pain in the arse to get the bolt threaded back on when you do that, spark plug socket for motorized bikes. They tend to do the job pretty well. You're going to want to put something on the end of that socket, so a 3/4 inch ratchet, an adjustable wrench, bottle of slime for that flat firkin tire. Let's do this. First things first, try to figure out where I can set you guys so you guys can see all the fun stuff. Shoot, there's really not much places for this in the shop. Is there? There we go. I'll get it. All right, first things first, you're going to want to thread all 4 of these carriage bolts in. Through the back of the wheel though. So that means you take this side and port that closest to the tractor through the rear dual. So you want to go underneath your tractor, like so. You're going to want to repeat the process 4 times. 3 times after that. And 4. Got all 4 bolts ran through the rim. Here comes one of the hard parts. Many hard parts of this. No, I'm just kidding. It's pretty easy. You're going to want to take that wheel weight. I hope the guy just got a couple cracks in it so it can lose some weight. As it should. No, I'm just kidding. Pretty average. And you're going to want to line all these bolts up with those holes. Like how you see me doing right now. Sorry if I'm in the way a little bit. Like that. Once you got all those in, pull them back through and make sure they lock in place. Because this next step is going to take a bit. Mainly, a lot of spinny spin. Put a washer. lock washer. And then a nut on each bolt. So far, the order of it should be bolt, lock washer, washer. Don't mind the train going by. We have a couple of those going through town every day. I'd say about 10, 15 on a busy day, 20. It's going to be a little hard to thread on if your bolts aren't new. But if your bolts are new and you used them once, they're still going to be a little bit hard to thread on, especially if you've only been running 2 carriage bolts through where you're supposed to be running 4. And you just come in with your wrench, just hand tighten everything. I grab an adjustable wrench because I don't like running to the toolbox, which is currently about 15, 30 feet away. Depends if you're short. Tall like me, it's 15 feet away. And if any of them are a little bent or off, just tap it with a wrench before you put the other dual on. Like so. Now, walk over. Get your outer wheel, put that on over the bolts. And then you got your outer dual on. This one, you're going to want to use some washers that you previously cut in half like so. Take one of these washers, turn into that, so it'll fit in the rim. If not, you can just use some smaller diameter washers, but you have to have at least the same size of shaft on the inside. can put the lock washers on the outside if you want, but I figured you want more of a tighter connection or tighter hold on the inside, so I don't really put the lock washers on the outside of it because I've never really had a problem to where these actually came loose. Now this is I almost forgot to mention, this is not for the small wheels, this is just for the big wheels. You could probably do the same thing on the small wheels, but I'm not too sure. I haven't made dualies with the small wheels yet, just the big ones. Now you're going to want to get that spark plug wrench that I was telling you about and the ratchet and just tighten them up. Don't try to tighten them all the way down, because you do got to realize that you're using plastic weight in the middle, and it can only hold so much compression before it goes, and you don't have a wheel weight in the middle anymore. Now you just look around the dual, make sure there's no gaps in between, and if there is, just tighten where the bolt is. Simple, easy. And like that, we have dualies on the outside. Give you guys a little peek-see. That's what it should look like when it's done. Old side, or new side compared to the old side. What this does is gives you more go power in the back. I'm just kidding. Gives you more torque and makes it to where you can actually push gravel around if you're trying to do that. I wouldn't suggest this for mowing, because if you mow, you kind of don't want to have the width that you got, because like you got a whole another strip right there. It sticks out farther than the plow, but for this I kind of need it. This thing's not just for show, it's for go-to. Anyway, have a nice day.